My question is about the editorial article in the New York Times that was published yesterday. Perhaps you had the opportunity to read it. It says that Putin was close to signing a peace treaty with Ukraine in February, but the US and Israel's operation against Iran radically changed everything, and now he is not interested in the world. How would you comment on this? No. This is an absolutely false assumption that does not correspond to reality. Indeed, during the three-way negotiations, we managed to reach a certain distance in the direction of settlement. But the main issues that are of critical interest to the Russian side have not yet been agreed upon. From the very beginning, it was clear to everyone, and we have repeatedly said this, that such issues as territorial issues are the main topic for discussion. There has been no progress on them, and there is still no progress on them. This does not mean that Russia is losing interest in the negotiations. On the contrary, we remain open, we are in contact with the Americans, and we expect to hold the next round of negotiations as soon as the circumstances allow. The Kiev regime is well aware of the fact that, using oil and gas pipelines as weapons to intimidate the member states of the EU, it can also use the EU and NATO in its criminal interests. Our military services are closely monitoring the situation with regard to the launch of all Ukrainian drones, and we are taking appropriate measures. The main thing is that we are continuing a special military operation to minimize the potential of the Kiev regime for the continuation of this criminal and terrorist activity. I would like to add that the situation, for example, when members of the European Union are subjected to energy blackmail, when they are attacked, when they are insulted, and when Brussels keeps silent and does not defend its members against the attacks of a state that has nothing to do with NATO or the EU. This is an amazing attitude of the European Commission. The Ukrainian media reported that Zelensky instructed the Verkhovna Rada to be ready to work under the conditions of a military conflict with Russia for another 3 years. How do you rate the duration of the conflict in the Kremlin? Are they comparable to the statements of Zelensky when he says that he wants to conclude peace? They are not comparable, but I think it is better for you to contact the Verkhovna Rada to receive comments on this, and not to us. Of course, do not forget that according to the Constitution, the head of state, the President of the Russian Federation, determines the foreign policy of the Russian Federation. Therefore, all statements from the President are received by our parliamentarians, and the President will be informed in detail about the results of the contacts that will take place in the United States. Once again, this is a very necessary dialogue. It is a very important direction of dialogue between the two countries, which was also completely frozen. We hope that such first steps will contribute to the further resuscitation of our bilateral relations, which would be in the interest of Washington and Moscow. The British newspaper Financial Times reported yesterday that according to the Western intelligence, Russia has now begun to send drones to Iran. How would you comment on this? There are a lot of false information in the media, and even the most respected publications do not bother to publish it. Do not pay attention to them.
конфликта США и Израилем. Как могли бы вы прокомментировать эту публикацию?
Сейчас очень много лживых вбросов в средствах массовой информации, и даже самые уважаемые издания не гнушаются тем, чтобы публиковать эти вбросы. Не обращайте на них внимания.